clear view on eye comfort, brought to you by Millpledge Veterinary, the makers of Oculeze. The aim of this presentation is to give you an overview of the importance of tears and the tear film in maintaining eye comfort and supporting eye health in pets. We'll be covering the function of the tear film and when we should recommend the use of ocular lubricants or artificial tears. We'll then go on to cover dry eye. We'll look at the signs of dry eye, how it's treated, and how artificial tears can help. After that, we'll have a closer look at eye health in brachycephalic breeds, older animals, and also look at how ocular lubricants can be useful for travel and days out. And most importantly, we'll look at when owners should seek veterinary advice. Let's start by having a brief look at some eye anatomy and in particular how that relates to eye comfort. As you can see on the diagram, we have the cornea. This is the outer clear layer of the eye and it's just 0.5 to 0.6 millimetres thick in dogs and cats and about 1 millimetre thick in horses. It's an amazing structure, delicate but also tough and able to withstand most of what life sends its way. Its main function is to protect the eye, but a healthy cornea is also really important for vision. Now, the cornea is quite vulnerable to injury, probably more so than in people, partly because of the things pets love doing, diving headfirst into the undergrowth or charging about on walks, but also because of some structural differences. The cat and dog cornea is relatively larger than a human's. The larger size allows more light in, which allows for better vision in low light conditions or at night, but that does make it more vulnerable to injury. When it comes to protecting the cornea, of course structures like the eyelids are important, but the tear film is also crucial. The watery portion of the tear film is produced by the lacrimal gland, and these tears then drain away through the nasolacrimal or tear duct, or they are lost by evaporation. And there needs to be a continual production of tears to keep the eye healthy. So what does the tear film do? Well, it protects the eye from environmental irritants, so things like dust, sand and hair. It lubricates the surface of the eye and it keeps the eye surface hydrated. It also helps supply nutrients and oxygen to the cornea. And I think this is a particularly important point. It helps to maintain ocular comfort. So how can we support the tear film? One way is to use ocular lubricants. And although these are sometimes also known as artificial tears, most products don't actually mimic the composition of tears. They simply moisturise and lubricate the eye surface. They come in various forms, generally ointments, gels or drops, and either in multi-use bottles or single-use vials. Single-use vials are particularly useful for travel or when pets are out and about. But for long-term use, owners may find multi-use bottles more cost-effective. When should you be recommending an ocular lubricant? Really, any situation where additional moisture or lubrication is likely to support eye health and comfort. So that might be for a medical condition such as dry eye, or due to anatomical factors. The flat-faced breeds, also known as brachycephalics, like French bulldogs, for example. And just like older people, dry eyes can be a problem in older pets. It's also worth bearing in mind that air conditioning has a drying effect, so pets may benefit from ocular lubricants for longer car journeys, or if they're spending time in any other air-conditioned environment. We'll now go on to take a look at dry eye in a bit more detail. It's also known as keratoconjunctivitis sicca. A bit of a mouthful, so it's often shortened to KCS. Animals with dry eye have deficient tear production, and it's relatively common in dogs, affecting around 1 in 22 in the UK. It's only occasionally seen in cats, and most cases are what is known as immune-mediated. In other words, the dog's own immune system attacks the lacrimal or tear-producing gland, and the end result is reduced tear production. Certain breeds are at increased risk of dry eye. This list isn't comprehensive, but there's a higher incidence in Cocker Spaniels, Shih Tzus, Westies, Pugs, Cavaliers and Lhasa Apsos. And of course, if cockers and cavaliers are on the list, then popular crossbreeds like cavapoos and cockapoos will be too. So how do you know that a dog might have dry eye? Well, they may have a history of recurrent eye infections or eye ulcers. Their eyes might look dry, or they may have a discharge from the eyes, and the cornea may appear cloudy or even have dark pigment on it. If they do have this dark pigment, it's a sign that the problem has been going on for some time. And this last point, an increase in blinking, is particularly important, because that's usually a sign that the eye is painful, or at the very least itchy and uncomfortable. Of course, it goes without saying that any pet with changes to their eye health should be seen by a vet. And they will usually diagnose dry eye using something called a Schirmer tear test, where a small strip of blotting paper is hooked over the lower eyelid to absorb the tears. So why is it important to treat dry eye? Well, firstly, it's a painful condition. When people with dry eye describe the signs, they often report a burning sensation or that incredibly uncomfortable feeling of gritty eyes. Affected dogs are also much more likely to be affected by eye infections and corneal ulcers, and ultimately untreated dry eye can lead to scarring of the cornea and eventually blindness. But it's not all bad news, because dry eye can be treated. This should always be with medication prescribed by a veterinary surgeon. First-line treatment is usually a prescription-only ointment that reduces inflammation in the lacrimal gland and stimulates increased tear production. And it's quite important that treatment is started promptly, because this helps to preserve any remaining function of the dog's lacrimal gland. So you may wonder where ocular lubricants come in. Well, they are usually used in combination with veterinary prescribed medication, and they serve a really important role. Top of that list has to be comfort. There's nothing worse than dry, scratchy eyes. And of course, there are longer-term benefits in terms of corneal health and helping to preserve vision. And as we have already discussed, they are usually used alongside prescribed medication, not as a substitute. So what are the key take-home points? Well, it's really important to remember that firstly, dogs with dry eye should always be under the care of a veterinary surgeon. And secondly, treatment may need to continue for life. It's not always a condition that can be cured. So as we said earlier, there are other pets that benefit too, not just those with dry eye. And brachycephalics, or flat-faced breeds, are pretty high up that list. The flat-faced breeds have seen a huge increase in popularity in recent years, and none more so than the French Bulldog, as you can see from these figures. A 20-fold increase in Kennel Club registrations over a 10-year period. But it's not just dogs, cats too. Persians, Scottish Fold, British Shorthairs, exotic Shorthairs, they can all benefit from ocular lubricants. So why is this? Well, it's all down to their anatomy. Flat-faced breeds have prominent eyes which are prone to drying and irritation. There is often a focus on airway disease in brachycephalics, which is of course hugely important, but don't forget to talk to these owners about their pet's eye health too. So we've talked about dogs with dry eye and also the flat-faced breeds, but what about older pets? It's not just human lifespans that are increasing, pets are living longer too, and that means that age-related conditions are becoming more common. But what does this mean for eye health? Well, many animals have a gradual decrease in tear production as they age, and this means that their eyes are more prone to drying and irritation. And it's also worth noting that certain breeds are at increased of ocular irritation in their senior years, Westies, Cavaliers and Cocker Spaniels, for example. So alongside discussions around senior pet nutrition and joint health, remember to talk to the owners of older animals about eye health and supporting ocular comfort. So which other pets benefit from ocular lubricants? Well, pets who travel certainly do. Pets really are members of the family, and that means that pet parents want to include them in travel, holidays, and days out. Of course, this means that pet eyes are exposed to dust and other debris while out and about, and they're probably more at risk from this sort of irritant than people, because they're generally much closer to ground level. Air conditioning in cars also means that eyes are prone to drying, and for pets that fly, low humidity on aeroplanes can also increase tear evaporation and predispose to drying. So that brings us to top tip number 2. Use ocular lubricants to support eye health and comfort in all pets when travelling or out and about. It's important to know when veterinary input is needed, and here are some pointers to help. Do get an owner to seek veterinary advice if they are concerned about or there has been any change in their pet's eye health, their pet's eyes are red or inflamed, or the eyes have a cloudy appearance, their pet is squinting or holding their eye or eyes closed, or they have noticed any reduction in vision. And don't offer advice on prescribed medications or attempt to diagnose, because only registered members of the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons may do this. When it comes to eyes, they are precious. Vision is such an important sense, and if there is any doubt, owners should be advised to seek veterinary attention at the earliest opportunity. So, what are the take-home messages? Well, firstly, the tear film is important for eye health and vision. Dry eyes can cause discomfort, they can even be painful. And eyes may be dry due to a medical condition, breed-related anatomy or lifestyle factors. Ocular lubricants, also known as artificial tears, support eye health and comfort. And as we've said, owners should be advised to seek veterinary advice where appropriate. We're going to finish with some information about Oculeze. So, when can it be used? Well, any time where ocular comfort can be supported by lubrication or artificial tears. It comes in a 10ml bottle that has a 3-month shelf life after opening, or a smaller vial that's ideal for travel. It lasts twice as long on the eye surface as non-lipid preparations, so why not make it your first choice? As we've said, Oculeze is available in 2 convenient sizes. A compact 10ml bottle, packaged to optimise shelf space. It includes a filter so it maintains sterility for up to 3 months after opening, and it has a long shelf life. Secondly, Oculeze is available in a pack of 10 resealable 0.6ml vials. These are packaged for convenience and ideal for travel. It's worth noting, though, that the 0.6ml vials should be discarded 24 hours after opening. Oculeze eye drops contain natural essential oils, which reduces evaporation compared to non-lipid ocular lubricants, which means that Oculeze lasts twice as long on the eye surface for longer lasting comfort. The natural active ingredients in Oculeze are glycerine, aloe vera, chamomile and propolis extract, and the mechanical properties of these ingredients support improved ocular comfort. Oculeze is also phosphate-free and pH neutral, and very importantly, it's non-sting. And it's suitable for animals including, but not limited to, dogs, horses, cats and rabbits. And last, but by no means least, it's part of the MilPledge Veterinary portfolio of products. So to summarise, Oculeze is suitable for any ocular condition where eye health is supported by providing additional moisture or lubrication or the use of artificial tears. Oculeze can be used in pets including dogs, cats, horses and rabbits, and it's safe to use as often as needed. And Oculeze starts to soothe and relieve eye irritation from the very first application, with no contraindications to use. Thank you for listening to this presentation on eye comfort. If you have any questions, please get in touch.